nipple look. Favorite story of the night, man. Like lots of cool stuff happened. Like we went to the fire station, one of the first rucks that we did, and had to sing "Part of the USA" while they sprayed water on it for about 5, 6, 7 minutes. And of course, "Part of the USA" is probably in the top 3 favorite songs of all time. Volunteers' shoes blew apart during hydro burpees, which was amazing and almost expected. So like it was kind of like, okay, yeah, I could see that happening, and it makes sense. The world is right. And he did a physical fitness test where he ran with duct tape shoes, kind of lopsided, and shaboinged all together. Man, it was crazy. One of my favorite moments. We did this hero wad. The hero wad was not part of my favorite moments, but I think finishing with the whole group, I think there's 60 of us. I was part of the group where the rest of the packs came and had to pick up the 6, and they were picking us up, and we got done, and the cadre was like, all right, we're running out of time, slick ruck. And I thought at that point it was like 2:30, 3 o'clock in the morning. I was just kind of guessing. And I was like, okay, we have 3 or 4 hours till the sun comes up. And we took off on this ruck, and I felt like we were just jogging from the very beginning. And it's like, we still have hours to go. And I'm next to Cox, and he goes, look up. And I look up, and like the sun, it's you can't see the sun, but it's like this. We're in the woods kind of, and above the tree line, you start to see this like pinkish hue. And man, I was so excited. I was like, I just got another burst of energy. I was like, and not even because like it's almost over, but it was more like, I just love the sunrise, and I love being out in the woods and being outside and just the morning time. And then we got to do this ruck, and it was kind of very difficult. It was probably 4 or 5 miles. I bet it was over an hour, and we were huffing, man. And at one point, we're running up this hill kind of at an angle, and this hill is probably felt like a half mile long, not a super steep gradient, but it had this very tall grass, and the grass was super wet from the morning dew. And I was like looking down, and the dew was running down the grass, and then like underneath, like we were kind of almost walking on top of the grass, of course, and like you could see like currents of dew and water running underneath the grass as we were running on top of it. I just thought it was like beautiful as we were running, and the sun was up, and I just remember thinking like, I'm kind of having fun, because it was like the kind of work I like to do. Just like I was running, and I was carrying weight, and everybody had to push. It just was kind of a cool energy. That was one of my favorite parts of it. Like, not a great story, but just a great moment, I think, in that. And it was the beginning of the end for me.
Oh man. I mean, I don't think there is a more incredible, maybe heroic, awe-inspiring story than volunteers' shoes busting open and falling apart. Like that is unbelievable. And the fact that he dealt with that with 5 or 6 hours left in the night, like I don't know what time that was when it happened, but we had hours and hours left. And he didn't complain about it one time, not once. And so it was good. I was really fortunate because the way our platoon was lined up, I got to walk with volunteer right in front of me or beside me a lot of the times we were moving. So yeah, it was an honor to walk beside him that night while he was going through that.
That one's easy. Volunteer was hustling pretty consistently throughout the whole night and had a pretty good attitude until after about 2/3 of the way through, we did hydro burpees, and his shoes came completely apart. He called me the next day and said, I thought I was done. Like, drive out, pick me up, take me home, because I can't walk around here barefoot. Cadre goes to him and says, you hold on. let's see what we can do. Goes back to him and says, no one's coming. We're an hour and a half from anybody. You can either walk barefoot or figure this out. You have 30 seconds to figure this out. Caboose talks to him and says, you're going to have to walk barefoot, man, because your daughter's waiting for you at the end of this. So he then goes rucking for 30 minutes to an hour, trying to duct tape his shoes all along the way. That's the best.
Yeah, probably. I mean, one of the most favorite ones, just seeing somebody volunteer lost his shoe. I don't know if others have mentioned that, but his shoe came apart. He got duct taped on, and he kept going. So that was something quite memorable. But other things involved a lot of guys encouraging each other at difficult parts. We all had our struggles, and sometimes it was just words of affirmation. Sometimes it was a little kick in the pants to, hey, get in here, get under the log, help out, take a turn. And yeah, a lot of memories from that night.
I mean, I think just the most memorable was, I feel like when I was platoon leader, just helping pick up, volunteers pack and helping them push forward, just because he was dealing with so much with his shoes. And there was just nothing that we could really do. The only thing I knew is like, hey, let's just grab his bag and let's just push it forward. And so him and Caboose could just keep going, because, I mean, they were just, there was nothing they could do. I mean, his feet were literally falling out of his shoes. So as they would repair him with duct tape and whatnot, I mean, we just kept, I would just push the rucksack forward and move on,
Well, for me, my big story was really when my gear failed. So for those that don't know, my shoes pretty much fell apart, and so when they really fell apart was we were doing hydro burpees, and I looked down, and the rubber bottoms of my boots were floating in the river. And so I picked them up and was really going. I was like, I don't know what I'm going to do. And so Cadre comes to me, and they're kind of, everybody's moved on, and I can close my eyes and still remember it. Anyways, I was like, he just looked at me and he goes, no one's coming. We're an hour and a half from anybody, which, side note, was completely a lie. We were 10 minutes from a parking lot. But he said, no one's coming. And he says, you have two options. You can either go barefoot or you can figure it out. And I said, okay, I'll figure it out. And he goes, you have 30 seconds to figure it out. And, for me, like, that idea that no one's coming was really big for me. And was really realizing that, like, I mean, that was my breaking point, was at that moment realizing to not wish that it was easier, but wish that I was tougher. And at the end of the day, no one really cares. And so you've just got to dig deep and figure it out. And so that was a pretty big defining moment for me, and even in my leadership journey, of just the resiliency of what we're going to do next. And so we go hiking off for another mile, and me and Caboose are making duct tape shoes while I'm walking through the grass in my socks. And so, yeah, it was a big moment for me.